Morsels of a Thought. This is 1879. I am here to bring you morsels of a thought, and I'm hoping that we bring wisdom to each other so that we can make a better world. When we know the right thing to do, we've got wisdom, and when we're doing it, we have virtue. So let's try to get to some virtue here with Allyson Chavez. Allyson Chavez wrote Prosperity Approach, the simple formula to ultimate prosperity. And we are on page 80 about the law of relativity. Nothing you experience is fundamentally good or bad. Nothing. Bad things are bad only relative to something better. Excuse me while I sneeze or yawn or something. It felt like a sneeze at first. Sorry. I have, sorry. I love going to personal development classes as often as possible. In one of the classes I took, I learned that nothing has meaning until I give it meaning. This is another way to sum up the law of relativity. Most of the meaning we give to our circumstances isn't supportive to our growth. Isn't supportive to our growth and reaching for something better. Most of the time, we look at our circumstances and compare them to someone else's better circumstances. That leads to feeling less than satisfied with what we've got, along with feeling along with feeling frustrated, impatient, and many times abandoned. It's in our human nature to compare ourselves to others or even to ourselves and quote, how we used to be, end quote. If we've put on some weight, we definitely we definitely tend to compare ourselves with how we used to be. If we've put on some weight, make sure to use this law to your advantage and only compare your situation with a worse one. I think I may need glasses, some spectacles to improve my vision. Excuse me. Sorry, it's better. This will help you be able to hold more faithful thoughts. Find gratitude and the blessings that are in your current circumstances. They're in there by law to help you feel better about your situation. The idea is to feel grateful about what you have now. Excuse me. Now, not feel worse. Remember, we create our future with our dominant thoughts and emotions. When my brother died so unexpectedly, I remember thinking, even in the midst of my grief, that it could have been so much worse. If I had to lose a family member, losing an adult brother who had lived a great life and I'd had a wonderful relationship with made it much easier to cope. That was on blessing. That was one blessing I could see. Sometimes, that was a typo in here. Sometimes people take issue with comparing down, quote, end quote, because of their own judgmental voice. It sounds an awful lot like you should be grateful to have this experience. At least it's not as bad as dot dot dot. And many times that just makes us feel worse. Be sure when using this law that you use it to your advantage. Comparing down is meant to help you grasp gratitude for what currently is, not shame you because you want something better and quote should quote end quote be happy for the lot you have. It's meant to assist you in finding hidden blessings more easily. In his book, Dad is Fat, Jim Gaffigan, Gaffigan, tells a joke about parenting that goes like this. Raising kids may be a thankless job with ridiculous hours, but at least the pay sucks. This is not using the law of relativity to your advantage. Excuse me while I yawn again. Their yawning is a Qigong method. I'll say, and it's happening to me a lot at this moment because of this book. It's not because I'm tired. I've been awake since 5 hours ago, but it's hysterical. And if you're honest with yourself, isn't that what we kind of do when we're in a rough spot? We either play the martyr role, which sounds like welcome to my life, or we think about all the things that could be better in our lives, which just make us feel worse about our situation. Instead, think of the ways it could be worse so that you can feel better. Socrates said, if all our misfortunes were laid in one common heap, whence everyone must take an equal portion, most people would be content to take their own and depart. I've heard that before. It is very deep. I can be, well, I won't read it again. Yes, I will read it again. Socrates said, if all our misfortunes were laid in one common heap, whence everyone must take an equal portion, most people would be content to take their own and depart. This law in action. List 5 ways your current situation could be worse, and then 5 blessings that you've received from this situation already. Oh my God. Oh my God. The law of polarity. Every situation, over there, you have to compare down in 5 situations, and then you have to write down current blessings in my situation right now. Then, in the law of polarity, which we are reading from Allyson Chavez, Prosperity Approach, the simple formula to ultimate prosperity. And excuse me while I yawn again, I'm sorry. Okay, this book is giving me a ton of energy. Law of polarity. Every situation has an opposite that is of equal degree. If your circumstance is kind of bad, it's also kind of good. If your circumstance is absolutely terrible, it's also absolutely incredible at the same time and to the same degree. Remember, nothing has meaning until you give it meaning. The situation itself isn't good or bad, it just is. If you've put a bad label on a situation, start looking for the good labels that have to be there by law. Napoleon Hill said, every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. And while the seeds are certainly there, every adversity, failure, and heartache also carries within it advantage, success, and delight. It's your job to find them because they're hidden. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of work. Self-reliance. I love the story of 2 little girls who were put into separate rooms filled with horse manure. The first little girl looked at all that horse manure and promptly began to cry. The second little girl looked at all that manure, whooped for joy, and began digging in it. When asked what she was doing, she replied, with all this manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. Are you sitting in your own poopy situation and crying about it? Or are you digging around for the pony that is bound to be there? Use the law of polarity to your advantage by looking for your symbolic pony, and you'll actually shorten the time that you're in that tough situation. As painful as losing that income was, the law of polarity guaranteed that something else just as powerful lurked in that situation, only it was the opposite of painful. And what did I find? The prosperity formula, the missing piece to success. I discovered that you need to change your inner excuse me. Oh my God. inner stance in all areas of your life, spiritually, energetically, mentally, and physically, in order to have a solid foundation under you so you can build something truly lasting. The law of polarity gave me, Allyson Chavez, something powerfully positive to focus on other than the financial disaster we were dealing with. And that just gave me great comfort and hope for an even brighter future. The law of utilization. When you make full use of everything in your life, the bad as well as the good, it leads to manifestation. I love this law. Utilization leads to manifestation. Another way to describe this law is through the mantra, everything happens for a reason, and that reason is to assist me. How can I utilize this? This is so helpful when it seems like life is falling apart, no matter what you're doing to salvage it. When we stop resisting the bad that's happening, quote unquote bad, and allow it to be exactly what it is, a tool to be used for our good and our growth, we begin to see life through different eyes. Einstein said, there are two ways to look at life. One is as if nothing is a miracle. The other is as if everything is a miracle. What's the miracle of not being able to pay bills? What's the miracle of not having great health? That's for you to find in your own circumstances. But I know that as you look around in your life and treat every circumstance as a miracle, that is there to assist you, your focus will change. You'll begin to see how much God does love and care for you as He, capital H, sends you angels disguised as humans that you can see and angels that you can't. Some of the sweetest, most cherished experiences of my life have come during the darkest times of my life. The darkest times of my life. One of my friends was going through a particularly rough time, and she confided in me how better off her kids would be without her. We didn't meet until we were adults, so she didn't know my background. I told her about my childhood and the aftermath of losing a mom who considered her kids better off without her. I could tell her with authority that her children were not better off without her, regardless of her state mental state. I took an experience that for years had me wondering what good it really did me, and in that moment I utilized it to save three young girls from going through what I had to go through as a child and as an adult. My friend told me later that I saved her life that night. If my experience can just save one mama, if my experience can save just one mama and just one child, it was worth it. There was a time when my mama told me she was planning to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was angry about it later. I cried a lot as she told me. I cried a lot, and she cried too. And she went to work, and I was a latchkey kid, and I was brought to the gas station. My stepdad picked me up at the gas station, to the gas station after school. And I looked at him and I said, why don't you love mama? Because she said she was jumping because my father didn't love her. And uh, he said, what? And then he closed the door to the office so that I could talk. I said, Mommy says she's going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge today because you don't love her. And then so he immediately got on the phone and called her. So that saved her. So it was good that I got angry at my stepfather and spoke to him, because if I hadn't spoken to him, she wouldn't have come home that day. So What if what you have been handed was exactly what you needed and was exactly what was required to lead you to your dreams? Would that change your perspective? Would you resent it, push against it, and feel frustrated by it? Or would you use that as a tool to create the life you want? I believe that no matter what you're going through, it's exactly what you need for more growth and is exactly what is required to create your dreams. It's up to you to use whatever you've handed to your advantage. Whatever you're handed to your advantage. The miracle exercise, which is a miracle exercise, what's going on in your life right now that you can utilize for your own. It's asking you, what's going on in your life right now that you can utilize for your good? How is a rough time assisting you? Write it below, and you can do that on a piece of paper. We're reading Prosperity Approach, the Single Formula to Ultimate Prosperity by Allyson Chavez. But I know that as you look around and in your life and treat every circumstance as a miracle that is there to assist you, your focus will change. You'll begin to see how much God does love and care for you as He sends you angels disguised as humans that you can see and angels that you can't. Now, the law of projection. All aspects of ourselves are reflected back to us. All that we perceive outside ourselves is a mirror of something within. Therefore, everything that we see outside is a projection, otherwise known as you spot it, you got it. I'll be honest, this was a tough law for me to wrap my mind around when I first learned about it. Certainly, that woman who drove me crazy because she wouldn't quit talking about herself wasn't a quality in me I was recognizing, was it? According to this universal law, that's exactly what it is. What you see in other people is nothing more than a mirror of your own inner thoughts, beliefs, feelings and beliefs. And when what you notice elicits an emotional response from you, you can be confident that's the law of projection playing out in your life. So, what do we do when we're triggered negatively by someone? First, celebrate that you've been triggered. This is part of you that is wanting to be acknowledged, loved, and embraced. So humble yourself enough to recognize that what you're seeing and not liking about someone else is the exact same quality you have that you just don't want to see. To refer back to the example above, I was at a 3-day event where we were to choose buddies that we'd hang around with the entire 3 days to do some deep work together. She never asked about me or my situation. All she did was talk about herself. By the end of the 3 days, I was almost crazy. But why was I so upset that she was talking all the time? Because there was no time to talk about me. So at least a part of me wants to do nothing more except talk about myself all the time. And can I accept that as true? Of course. When I saw that I was just like her and that experience was meant to show how self centered I can be, it was a powerful lesson. Now, does that give me permission to do nothing but talk about myself all the time? Of course not. But it does give me permission to acknowledge that inner 15-year-old whose entire universe revolves around her and love her and tell her to be patient for her time to talk. At that point, I was no longer triggered. We have 5 minutes here. We're going to go on to page 86. We're going to yawn a little again. Oh, this book gives me so much energy. I think that yawning brings more oxygen to the brain. When you learn to heal and embrace these parts of you. So the author says, when you learn to heal and embrace those parts of you that you don't like and develop those gifts that are currently dormant, emotional reactions to other people will stop and you'll begin to just observe their behavior without being affected by it. Why is this law so important to how we create? Because until we can own all parts of ourselves by healing and embracing those parts of us we don't like and developing those parts of us we admire in others but we can't see in ourselves yet, we remain disconnected from God to a certain degree. And true prosperity hinges on our ability to consistently connect with God and how well we can receive what He has in store for us, which includes some bumpy times and some smooth sailing times. The law of projection is also true for those qualities we do admire in other people. When we say, I wish I could be like so and so, that is also the law of projection playing out in your life. Though these are positive qualities in us that we're not developing, but we're seeing them in other people. If you see someone confidently speaking in front of others and with you, and you wish you could do the same, know that you can. This is part of honoring your gifts and talents and then developing them, which always brings us closer to heaven. And now for a little bit of honesty. List three things that drive you crazy in other people. People talk a lot. People are obsessed with me. And people are racist. List three things you admire in others that you wish were qualities you possessed. Admire in others. Courage and courage against my fear. And what else? Um, abilities such and skills such as cooking that I have to hone. Those are skills. Those are three things you admire in others you wish were qualities you possessed. Qualities. And what else? Oh, um, just ability to be included. There are ways that people are included that I believe are unique to the people. People naturally gravitate toward people that are like themselves. And I very rarely, the only person that I gravitate to in this building is a centenarian, a 100-year-old woman who is a Jew who is Russian. And I find it very, very soothing to be with her because she is knowledgeable about all things, but very, very, very patient. She knows that it takes me an hour to get ready to go to the garden with her, and and she just waits there with a book. She takes a book and reads some kind of Harlequin romance. And it's in Russian. Harlequin has translated their romances into Russian, if you can believe that. So next time we will start on page 87. I'll talk to you later. Remember ying.yang.31. Ying.yang.31 substack.com. Go look for me there and please like and please subscribe to me over there. I need 10 subscribers to be able to go live over there. Okay, thank you. Old Kinderhook.